We're talking about an incredible looking champion, hard hitting, insanely fun animations, and honestly, this is a champion that surprised me the most. First saw him during a takeover. He's currently available at a higher rate than normal with a 2x and 10x event, or for any future interest in building this champion and having a good time. We're talking about Ragash, we're talking about how much fun he is, so let's dive straight into it. What up, team? It is MurderInc, back with a Raid Shadow Legends video talking about the legendary defense-based Skinwalker Ragash here. First of all, looks incredible. Leorius, he's cool, okay, but there's something about the model of the lion I really didn't like, and I talked about this before. When you look at Ragash here, he's got the full kit. The Wolverine claws, the scarred eye. This guy, we're here to unleash the beast. So like I said already, we're going to give you a build guide to show you where he's good, how incredibly fun he is. He shocked me, to be honest. So we get an A1 double hit increased defense on the champion, which is good because he's defense based, just in case you don't have an AoE buff. We have an A2 with an AoE, defense down, stun chance, fully booked to 100%, which is always nice. Next, we have an A3, which is important for one aspect I'm going to talk about: strength and increased speed buff across the board, and perfect veil buff on this champion. Then we have a passive at the start of each turn, places perfect veil for one turn on the ally with the highest attack. Inflicts 20% more damage against targets whose defense is lower than this champion's defense. So in a lot of content, this is going to ring true. In some content, like the higher tier ones, it's going to be really hard to hit those very high defense numbers, kind of like Hydra. So where are we going to talk about this champion? First, how do we gear him? The first place is going to be Fireknight. Fireknight is easily the most important dungeon in this game, period. Dragon's good, I understand that. The value slightly diminished with reaction gear, stone skin gear, and the fact that perception is now in the game, and this really cool battle pass set that has speed and resistance. But we're headed into the Fireknight. Stage 25, this is the meta comp. Now, usually this team runs Mashald as lead. I've seen a lot of players use Duchess. This champion fills this spot so well. This might be a multi-take part. We're going to see sometimes the RNG is high or low. So let's go ahead and run this, and let's just look at the speeds. So typical, he uses his buffs. Why are the buffs important? As you can already see, he gives enough buffs to everybody. I mean, first of all, just look at his animations. I don't know, maybe I'm being biased, but I love him so much. But as I'm trying to explain, he's there for the seer. Getting to the Fireknight this quickly is really good. It really is. I mean, what was that, 16 seconds to get here, 127k. I mean, this guy is pumping the damage. He's out here. He's a menace here. 50 on the A1s there as far as damage. There's just so much, and as you can see, the time's pretty decent so far. Some of the faster iterations of this team, probably the fastest that I've personally seen for this comp specifically, is 50 seconds even. So we're going to compare and see where this guy lands in the grand scope of things here. One thing to note for this video, he has Helm Smasher. The ideal kind of way to gear this guy for Fireknight specifically is not going to be Helm Smasher. So had Ragash killed him there, if he had War Master, probably would have been 1 minute and 3 seconds. The first takeover I did, it averaged 1 minute and 1 to 1 minute and 3 seconds, which is why I rang that number out, and their gear was nowhere near mine. They were doing, I believe, 3-minute runs on stage 21, and then I saw Ragash and said, wait, why are we not using this champion? His kit looks awesome, or close to when he first came out. So I plugged him in here. He was lucky enough to have Seer, Allure, Renegade. Didn't have Ghostborn. They were using, I believe my memory serves correct, Lydia instead. But totally awesome team, tons of fun. As soon as I saw this guy's animations, I'm not gonna lie, I fell in love with it, as I'm sure anyone who pulls this champion will. Let's take a look at the speeds really quickly in case you're curious. 260 speed, doesn't have to be that fast. The stats, I mean, I guess if you wanted to go like more of a support role, or if you're lacking damage on Seer, which is the key here. Not everyone can build Seer properly to where she's just one-shotting. So if that's the case for you, this team's going to be like a minute and 30 seconds, which is still a really respectable time for the most important dungeon. And Ragash is going to get an AoE in after Seer, and that's just going to seal the deal because he hits very hard. So crit rate, crit damage. You don't really care about accuracy. You can throw it on if you have the means and the gear to, but it's whatever. Like I said, speed can be lower than this. Seer, 224, 100, 315. Again, like I said, these are rather hard stats to hit for most players, so if you're lower than this is where Ragash comes in handy, where Mashald is going to fall a little bit short here. Same thing with Duchess, obviously. She's kind of a failsafe for a slow team. She only provides the buffs for Seer and 0 damage. Next is Ghostborn at 260 again, which is why ideally you want Ragash slower. His base speed's lower, so if I did want to fix one thing, I would probably even lower Ragash's speed for a run similar to this. Next is Allure, 280, once again hard stats for this, and then 200 speed on the Renegade. Now if you're curious about the AI, I'll go through the rounds. Round 1, 2, and 3 for Renegade, 3, 2, and 1 for Allure. Pretty simple here. 1, 2, and 3 for Ghostborn. For Seer, 1, 2, and 3, and finally Ragash, 1, 2, and 3. The only thing really to mention here is you want to open with the A1 ability once you reach the Fireknight in round 3. Outside of that, it's pretty straightforward. So if for some reason you don't want to use him in the Fireknight, which I can get for sure, we can head to the arena or the live arena. Is it open? It's not. It's open in 2 hours, so I can't show you the live arena, but we can go into the arena, and I'm pretty sure people have an idea on how good this champion is going to be in the arena, but just for kicks, let's head straight on in here. So one thing we do need to note and talk about is going to be defense up is your friend when using a defense-based nuker, which may be difficult for some people because adding an increased defense, as I know from my free-to-play account, isn't always the most ideal or easiest thing to do. So with that, let's find our go-to, for my account at least, increased defense, which is going to be Sifi. Not everyone has Sifi, I get it, you're going to have to use someone else. Unfortunately, you can't just slot in an Arbiter here, which kind of be beneficial, because Arbiter has increased attack and not increased defense. So let's go ahead and see just how hard this guy pumps. Okay, so we got increased defense, and for some reason he's faster than Lydia. So what are we going to do? I guess this is just going to be the first test to nuke them without defense down as well as weaken. Yeah, I mean, what were we expecting, right? He's just going to one-shot everyone, and it's what it is. And he's not blue affinity. What does that mean? Ultimate Death Knight, bye-bye. I know people are going for Jetney. This is kind of cheeky on Plarium's part to release a 2x, 10x with the Jetney fusion, and this champion essentially does what Jetney does. He is defense-based, so I guess there's an argument where he's harder to build, but looking at both champions' kits, I pick Ragash 1,000 times over the Fusion because he's cooler looking, way more fun to play with animation-wise, and he just, I don't know, it's hard to explain. You probably understand what I'm saying. He just feels good to use. He's one of those champions where you pull, you're like, okay, maybe he's not S tier, but he's a fun project. I was very happy when I pulled it on my account, and I have pretty much every single champion that I want, so that should speak volumes on its own. As we can see, we have a nice Ragash here in the defense log, so let's fight an Ultimate Death Knight team here. What are we going to do? We're going to increase this champion's speed. As we can see, we are a bit shy here, so this is the culprit. This is indeed the culprit. Is this going to be enough? Hard to say, hard to say. 50, I believe he was at 60, so she is still shy, and this is going to round it out just right here. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so let's get this started, take it off auto, and see what we're doing with a defense down ability. Increased defense, all things are good. Defense down and weaken, let's get it. Resisted, okay. Now let's put it on one-time seed and see just how hard. Fur Typhoon, what a name. Fur Typhoon hits. Okay, so I mean, as you can expect, easy one-shot. like other champions can do. I've seen this before when talking about counters to Ultimate Death Knight Murder. Anybody with really strong gear that's green affinity or red affinity can just AoE one-shot. True, but can they do it while looking as fierce and while being as fun as Ragash? That's the question indeed. So on top of all this, one place where it really shines, which is the Fireknight. Second place, where pretty much anybody can shine, but he does have the advantage of being Spirit Affinity, which is Arena. Pretty common places. One thing that you have to talk about with this champion is going to be not buying packs. No. Recently used. Let's just look at his kit for a second here. Strength and increased speed. Extremely valuable buffs in an AoE format. 4-turn cooldown. Yes, it's going to be a book investment. If you really want to get full value out of this, do you need it? Unfortunately, kind of, because 6 turns is rather long, unless you're in a progression setting. If you're progressing, it's fine to use this once every 6 turns because you're probably going to take 3 turns per wave during progression. Those are those really long runs where you're trying to go for an Arbiter mission or whatever. The A2, not as forgiving, but still fine in a progression setting because you don't need 100% consistency when you're trying to push stages. That is only for farming. I think that's an important point to kind of go over and kind of really hit home on. So if you don't want to gear this champion like I did with insane stats of savage gear and then crit damage gear sets, what can you do? If you're early on into the game, perception gear is going to be very strong on this champion because accuracy is important. So you want to give him defense, crit rate, crit damage, accuracy. If you have to sacrifice somewhere, crit damage first, then defense. Try to keep the 100% crit rate if it's within reason on your gear. If you want to gamble crit rate and go lower than 100%, I would say for progressing it's fine, but as soon as you start wanting consistency out of a champion like this, you gotta go with 100. You really do. Any type of team that's going to be farming for you, running below 100% crit rate is just going to hurt you in the end. As far as the masteries go, for non-arena content, I would say drop Helm Smasher, add War Master, increased boss value, not so much increased wave value. If you really value wave clear overall, definitely take Helm Smasher and use another champion like a Poison champion or whoever you have at your disposal for the bosses. The next thing is going to be, there's going to be an argument to be made about the defense tree for masteries. He's a defense-based champion. He stacks defense for damage, giving him inherent survivability, which is very strong. If there's any champion I would say it's okay to drop the defense tree, it would be this type of champion who has so many buffs, perfect veil, protecting himself. You can go support tree, get that extra accuracy, which can then maybe allow you to transfer into more offensive based gear sets. So he can be a valuable champion in any progression, Ice Golem, Dragon, you name it. Even the Doom Tower, lots of ways can be annoying. The fact that he has defense down and stun and hits very hard, also putting an increased defense on himself, gives him high value, then making him, of course, untargetable with the passive and A3 interaction. So very, very strong across the board. Love this champion to death. He's not quite Turvold level. Turvold has been my favorite for a long time, but this guy is rapidly rising the ranks. I would say he's at least top 5, one of my favorite champions, just because of how cool he looks, how cool his animations are, how good it feels to use this champion. I can't praise this guy enough. So it is what it is. That's going to conclude this video. If you enjoyed this content, smash that like. Let me know if you were lucky to hold this champion either in the future or during this current event here. Good luck with your polls, and as always, thank you all for watching.